Alright, so this video is going to be the second pseudocode problem um, that I'm going to demonstrate. It's actually flowchart number 2. Um, I did flowchart number 1 in pseudocode, and so I'm now doing this one, alright? So it says it's basically, let me show you. It says add to the flowchart above. When a student is over 3 classes, they can buy a multi-class notebook. So if they are taking more than 3 classes, ask them if they want separate notebooks or one big notebook. Trace the flowchart 3 times, once with one class and once with 4 classes and separate notebooks, and 5 classes with one big notebook. Okay, so if we go back, if you recall the first pseudocode video, I demonstrated both of these, okay? So I'm actually just going to copy these into my, I want to keep my master file, this, because this is flowchart 1. I've got my flowchart 2 down here. I'm going to keep them separated, all right? So let's kind of look at this again. And that didn't copy in too well. So let me make sure it's going in single. Okay. So if you recall, if you were to do this, without the 3 classes, originally it was just one class. The notebook is $1.50. Pencils are $4, and there's the tax. So it says output, enter the number of classes you're taking. So you input the, I'm taking 3 classes or whatever. So then you take 3 times the notebook times the pencils. And I'm assuming that you're buying 4 pencils per class and a notebook per class here. And then you can look at the cost times the tax, and you're going to add the tax onto the original cost, all right? And then you would output that. So what this wants to do, this wants to change it to see if they do more than 3 classes, they can buy a multi-class notebook for $5 in order to try to save some money. So if they're taking more than 3 classes, ask them if they want a separate notebook or one big notebook. Okay, cool. So again, there were 2 ways to go about doing this. So I'll fill in both of these. And okay, so we've got our costs. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign cost to original if assuming they didn't want the notebook. But if the num classes is greater than 3, okay. Now, when you're dealing with an if statement, you always have to end if, okay. Even if there's like else if on all that kind of good stuff, but right here, so I'm enter true, and then at the end here I'll do end true. So I'll lowercase these. Now, if you're looking at the homework assignment, these let me see if I can find the downloaded file. I'm just kind of looking at the homework assignment, these are kind of optional, I'm just putting them in, but if you don't do it for your homework, that's fine. But I'll put them in here. It's not a big deal, okay? So if they have more than 3 classes and you want to output, would you like to buy a multi-class notebook for $5? Y for yes, N for no. Okay. And then you would need to input the answer. Okay. And then here, if the answer is equal to a y, we've got another if statement that will have an end if. Okay. And then we'll have another true and true. So I'm gonna italicize both of those. So if they want to buy a notebook, I'll say a notebook costs, $5. So I'll put 5. All right. So I'm changing the variable right here. So I'm changing that. Okay. And then I'm going to have to change my cost. And I'm going to say it's the notebook plus the num classes multiplied by the pencils. Okay. Okay. So what this does is this changes the notebook variable and the cost variable from up here. So I'm assuming this is basically all from flowchart 1 or pseudocode, the pseudocode 1 video, right? But if they have more than 3 classes, then we're going to ask the user, do you want to put in or do you want to have a multi-class notebook instead, basically? And so if you enter yes, it changes the notebook, and then it changes our cost variable. And then, once that's done, then, this ends, and then this ends. And now our new cost would have been, it depends on how many classes they enter. Like, let's say they enter 4 classes. So 4 times 4 is 16, plus 5 is 21. So it'd be 21 times the tax rate plus the $21. All right. So that's that. And then I'll move this down. And so for this one, I'm going to use, the same structure as I used from flowchart 1, pseudocode 1. Okay. And all I'm going to do here is, okay, so I'm just going to copy, I believe. Let me think here. So, yeah, I'll just copy this right here. And paste that in there. Okay, so again, none of this stuff changes. All that it's doing is checking to see if the number of classes are greater than 3, and if they are, ask them if they want the notebook and plug it in here, and then that will reconfigure their notebook and cost variables, which will eventually hit the total cost variable. So this covers, the flowchart 2 pretty thoroughly, which again, all it did was just add this in there, and so I just plugged it in, to my, original code. So this video's done.